All right, what's good, everybody? This is Rashad from the Panther Nation Podcast, well, one half of the Panther Nation Podcast. I am joined by Brent Allen from the Pewtercast. If you guys are familiar and been watching for a while, we had these guys, or we had your co-host on as well. But we had both of these guys on last year when we were talking Bucks preseason last year, and we invited them back for obvious reasons. We invited them back to talk a little bit of Gerald McCoy and kind of see what's going on. It's a lot of confusion. So Brent, welcome. Introduce yourself. Tell them where you're from. All that good stuff.
What's going on, Rashad, man? I'm really happy to be back here on the Panther Nation podcast. It's always a good time to get to talk with you guys. Ren had some family stuff, so it's just going to be me here locking it down. We are from, obviously, we're from the Tampa Bay area. I'm actually from Florida. I used to live right there in Panther Nation territory. I was in Greenville there for a long time. But my history ran a lot further with the other NFC South team for y'all. But so here we are. We're going strong with our show, and glad to get to talk to you guys.
All right, so let's get right into it because the people are waiting, and I had a ton of questions.
Something
happened? I know, right? What something happened? I don't know. It's big news, and I contacted you just to give you some behind the scenes. I had contacted Brent maybe 2 or 3 days before the signing happened, and I said, hey, just in case, can we get you guys on? Just in case, because I wasn't sure. I didn't think it was going to happen. And so it ended up happening, and I just kind of put the feeler out there. We did end up signing Gerald McCoy. He officially signed today. He was in Charlotte. And I don't know if you happen to see any of the pictures and the introductory press conference and all that stuff. But I saw everything that happened, and I just, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird to see this. Gerald McCoy, who has been, he has been a thorn in our side for a long time, is now on our side. How did this happen? Give me a rundown of what happened. I mean, we knew. I mean, I listened to your guys' episode when you talked about Gerald and what happened, and I listened to that episode, and I listened to a lot of things because I kind of want to get a view from all angles. So I listened to a lot of things, but please help us understand how this happened.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, if I could just throw a little shameless plug, like that episode is just 1 or 2 episodes back in our own podcast feed. So if any of your listeners want to go and get the full diatribe on the whole thing and where our thoughts and feelings were towards the whole Gerald McCoy situation, you could just do that over at the Pewtercast. And honestly, any one of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers podcasts. It seems like all we talked about for so long. The basic rundown of how this happened is back in 2014, Gerald got signed to a long-term contract extension. As most do, they get more and more and more expensive in the later years. This past year, though, was the final year of guaranteed money. So this is the first year that we had a 0 cap hit for Gerald if we released him and let him go early. He was due to make $13 million this year. And for a guy who's put up back-to-back seasons with just 6 sacks, and he was leading on quarterback hits. I mean, Gerald's a good player. He's a really good player. You said it. He's a thorn in your side. But with all of that, plus now with the change in our coaching staff going to Bruce Arians and the Todd Bowles defense, they're going to play the people that they need to play, and they're going to do what they need to do. But it is going to be more of a 3-4 type defense as opposed to a 4-3. Gerald honestly just wasn't the fit here anymore. So there's the salary cap issue. He's just not a good fit. He's on the wrong side of 30. I think he turned 31 this year. He's got some years left, but he's got a lot of wear and tear on the tires. So at the end of the day, and we may get into this a little bit later, I think the ultimate reason that we wound up letting him go is Todd Bowles and Bruce Arians didn't want him here in this system anymore. And I think it's as cut and dry as they did not want. It's not. I don't think it was a salary cap issue, because if it was, they would have found $13 million. And we know that because of the contract they gave his replacement, Ndamukong Suh. There's a lot of reasons I think to go into it, but ultimately I think they just didn't want him here anymore. How he wound up in in Carolina, I understand your boy Cam Newton had a lot to do with that.
Yes, he did.
I don't know that Gerald is so much of a kind of guy who is going to only sign with Carolina because he wants revenge on the Buccaneers. I'm sure that was a little sweet to the pot, but I don't think that's all that it was. So I'm curious to know from your side, at least what Gerald said as far as why he signed with Carolina, like what made that place so attractive.
Well, I think the biggest thing, obviously, he had three different choices. It was the Browns, Baltimore, and Carolina. And I think the biggest thing, apparently, according to Ian Rappaport, they said he took less guaranteed money to come to Charlotte. And so I guess the Ravens apparently offered, I don't know if this number's right, they offered double guaranteed money than we offered. And we offered $4 million guaranteed with a bunch of incentives and
Right.
whatnot. But I think what it boiled down to for him is maybe I think he just liked the city. I think he enjoyed the city. He wanted to be in the South, not necessarily the NFC South, but in the South as far as climate. And I just don't know if I think the familiarity with the division. He said that he was comfortable. He likes Ron Rivera, and so I can't. This is what he's saying. Now I don't know that. Obviously, playing you guys twice is as a plus. Obviously, he's not going to Raymond James this year because of the game in London, but there has to be some sort of incentive. He definitely. He was not spiteful in his press conference. He definitely, he said it. It's a business, and I watched a couple press conferences. I think the last press conference he had with Tampa, I think was the one of the last games he had. He said, "I understand this is a business," and so he definitely was not spiteful. He didn't badmouth the organization, but he said he's loyal to where he is, and so he's a Panther now, and that's kind of what it is. But it's just really weird, like because we got this thing on our podcast is where we don't disrespect our Panther legends. So we don't disrespect Panther legends, and I feel like we've had issues. We've been down this road several times. We've done it with Steve Smith, done it with D'Angelo Williams. We've done it with a bunch of guys. Thomas Davis he's a Charger now, so that's really weird. But all of those guys, it seemed like they went out clean, right? Well, except for Steve Smith, that was ugly. But I'm talking about from a fan perspective. From a fan perspective, it was a clean. We would never say anything bad about about Steve Smith, about Thomas Davis. They were great players, but it just seems like it was so decisive. As far as from the fan base, it's really weird, and I'm having a hard time understanding, because this he's been a mainstay in your organization for so long, but there's so much decisiveness around Gerald McCoy, and I'm trying to understand why what is the deal here? Because I listened to the podcast, and I know Ren, he was really big on the whole leadership thing, which is a great point. In from your organizational standpoint, obviously we don't have to worry about that. From our side, we've got Luke, we've got K'Wan Short.
Which by the way, I think that's going to be a tremendous help to Gerald McCoy, because when he came into Tampa 9 years ago, 10 years ago now, after 9 seasons, he almost immediately became the face of the franchise, and he had to carry this franchise. And listen, you guys know Tampa's history. The last decade for us has not been pretty. The last 15 years has not been pretty in Tampa. It just hasn't. And he's been the face of this very dark period for so long, and the idea that he doesn't have to be that guy, he doesn't have to be the one that the media is always going to look to for the answer to speak for the team. He can just come in and he can actually just play football, and he can allow other people to talk and other people to do their thing. And he doesn't have to be the guy to put the team on his shoulders every week or put the entire defense on his shoulders and go win the game. Like, he doesn't have to be that, because that's not who he is.
Right.
So I think it's going to be a big help being there in Carolina, where he has all those other guys, around him.
I mean, so what's the deal? Like, why are the fans? I guess I would feel, I guess from my standpoint, I just don't see enough appreciation right now for Gerald. Like, from a Tampa stand, what's the deal with? I mean, this is even before he signed with Carolina. It seemed like man, we're kind of glad. This is a lack of better word, but we're kind of glad he's gone. That's kind of weird. Like, what's up with
There's
that?
yeah, there is it's a very weird thing in Bucks fandom as a whole. And you're absolutely right. A lot of it is what I just described. When you are the face of a
Yeah,
franchise for a decade of losing,
yeah,
whether it's your fault or not.
yeah,
And I would argue, in fact, Ren would argue, it's not his fault.
yeah,
We lost in spite of him. Like, he really did everything he could do to help us win. And he's a great player. He is a guy who stays after practice and he helps the rookies. He's a great community guy. Fantastic community guy.
yeah, for sure.
He's a guy that people love. He's good to people. He's good to the media. He's good to the players around him. But in the end, Tampa Bay has been in this. I mean, we've been bottom of the NFC South for, what is it, 7 out of the last 9 years, I think.
Yeah,
Right?
something
And
like that.
so for a lot of Bucks fans, Gerald presides over that. And so that's where a lot of the vitriol comes from. A lot of people are just saying, listen, Gerald has, some people say, well, it's not Gerald's fault. Look, he's never really had anybody around him to help him out. Then the other side says, well, yeah, but why should he need people to help him out? He should be making other people around him great, not needing other
Yeah.
people around him to make him great. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's the back and forth. And
That's tough.
I'd say it's like a good 50-50 split
Okay.
between people who love Gerald and people who really don't like him.
Okay.
It's and Ren will tell you, if you listen to our show, he likes what Gerald does on the field.
Yes, he was very adamant about that. He was
Yeah.
adamant about that.
It's all the other antics that he has that just grew wearisome
Yeah.
because it didn't amount to anything.
So
Gerald also was a talker. He's a guy who, it seemed like every year he was like, well, I've got to get better at this, or I've got to get better at this, or I got to do this more, or I got to speak up more here, or I've got to be out first here, or I got to let somebody else lead here. I'm just going to be a company man and do this. And it was the same result year after year after year. We just didn't see any difference. So I think that's what you see is the people that are tired of Gerald, the people that are like, hey, we're glad he's gone, are people that Gerald is taking the brunt of it because of it's a decade and a half of losing, and Gerald's at he's the leader, he's the forefront of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to get the most vitriol. However, on the flip side of that, the people who love Gerald, I mean, I have, you can't see it on camera, but I've got a signed Gerald McCoy jersey right over here that my son got. They love Gerald. They love what he's meant to this town and to this community. And you guys are going to love him too. And they think that Gerald doesn't get all the respect that he does. And Brent and I often have a debate and a conversation between, is Gerald one day going to be in our Ring of Honor?
Yeah.
Ren is adamant that Gerald will be in the Ring of Honor one day. I'm not as adamant, but Ren's probably right. He probably will wind up in our Ring of Honor. And one of his parting messages to Buck fans was, hey, I will be back and I will retire as a Buck.
Right.
That's the promise. We'll see what actually happens, but that's his thing. He wants to be a Buck. So, yeah. And also the other thing too, just to be fair, he made the unforgivable sin of not living up to the ghost of Warren Sapp.
Yeah.
In Tampa.
Okay.
Ever since he got here, he was compared to Warren Sapp.
That's tough.
You know what I mean? And he's not Warren Sapp. Like, that's not who he is.
Right.
We had him and Levante David as our linebackers. So it's, look, it's Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks all over again. And, that's just not what they were.
Yeah.
They were their own guys.
Yeah, that's definitely something tough. That's tough to live up to. Warren Sapp was a beast. But so let me jump back and take a step back into what you said earlier, because you made an interesting comment, and it's been a huge debate for our listeners, because it's a big talking point, is the scheme thing. All right, so
Sure.
I'm not sure if you're aware, but the Panthers are switching to a 3-4 hybrid look, and so there is some reservations about, okay, he got cut. Or from what you're saying, he was cut because of a scheme fit or lack thereof. But
Right.
he's coming over here, and how is it going to work? And so, can you talk a little bit more or elaborate a little bit more on about the scheme fit? Because we're looking for him to play 3-4 defensive end. I'm sure they're gonna slide him in at 3 tech. I'm almost positive they'd be stupid not to. But talk a little bit about 3-4 defense.
Yeah, look, I mean, Gerald's home base is a 3 tech. That's mostly what
Absolutely,
he was.
for sure.
But the truth is, if you go back and you watch, he played the 5 tech, he played nose, he played outside, he moved around. Gerald's a professional. Not only is he a professional, he's a veteran professional. He's been around the block.
Yes.
Okay? So whatever you guys are going to ask from Gerald, he's going to go out there and he's going to do it to the best of his ability, and it'll probably be pretty damn good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And so, just can I jump in real quick? And I'm glad you said that, because I immediately went back to the film. I have one of my best friends is a Bucks. He's a huge Bucks fan, and I said, hey, did you guys play some 3-4? And he told me under Mike Smith, you guys mixed it in a little bit. And so I went back and I saw it though. I saw it. It's there. I saw it. But you guys did, and you moved. And it's not even just about playing the 3-4 defense. It's more about where Gerald play on the line, right? So he like you said, he played nose tackle. He played 5 technique. But we all know that he is a pure 3 technique. That's where his best fit is. But I'm glad you said that, because there's some huge, I guess, reservation about where he's gonna play, and I 1,000% agree with you. He is a veteran. He's a baller. Like, the dude can ball, and he tweeted it. He said, "Doesn't matter if it's a 3-4 or 4-3. I'm gonna line up and ball. If you can ball, you can ball." And I 1,000% agree with that.
And he did, and I mean, it's a tweet that or I don't know if it was a tweet or like an Instagram video, but he's like 3 tech, 5 tech, nose tackle, defensive end, interior alignment, 4-3, 3-4, whatever. I'm gonna play it all, and Gerald's really gonna do it. Now, here's the thing that I'll go back to, like, Gerald's gonna go out there and he's gonna do it good. He's gonna be really good. He's a great player. Is he elite though? I don't know that I would say Gerald McCoy's elite.
Yeah,
you know, I don't think Gerald's going to be bound for the Hall of Fame, for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Not unless he has just an amazing turnaround in these last couple of years. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's never hit a double-digit sack season. 9.5 is the most that he got, and that was back in 2013, I think. The last 3 seasons, he's had 7, 6, and 6. However, last year I think he was also our leading guy who put pressure on the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he does those things. He also is a guy who apologizes to the quarterback while he's in the middle of hitting him. And we have audio of him apologizing to Ben Roethlisberger.
That's
saying,
funny.
"I'm sorry, Ben. I'm sorry, as he's tackling him. So, you know, that's the guy you're going to get, and he's going to be good. He's good. You could dare say he's going to be great. Is he going to be elite? Is he going to be the guy who turns your entire defense around? No, he's not that. But he will be a good key player. He'll be a 3-down player. And by the way, I would also suggest this. Only plan on him playing for 12, maybe 13, 14 games at most.
Yeah, and so that's another knock. I mean, we're well aware of the injury history, and that's okay. I mean, so just to be fair and jump into my brain a little bit, I'm not looking for Gerald McCoy to come here and save the day. Like, we don't need him to do that. We have Dontari Poe, we have KK, we've got the rookie edge rushers, and so we just need Gerald to be a piece, a very good piece. And so we don't there's no, and you said it earlier, there's no pressure on Gerald to come here and be the man, because we don't need that. We have Luke, he's the man. So there's no pressure on him at all to come here.
Is Luke, I mean, because I got to tell, from an NFC South non-Panthers perspective, like, we just keep on waiting for Luke to, like, walk out with his own bobblehead or something. Like, is he back this year? Is he going to play?
He's fine. He played all 16 last year.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
he's
cool.
good. Now you have a valid concern. I'm concerned too. Every time he makes a hit, I'm like, oh, okay, is he gonna get up? So you have we talked about that last year. I believe we talked about that last year. I think he's fine. He played all 16 last year. So yes, there is that concern, but I think he's good to go. He's good to go.
Good.
So
I mean, he's a hell of a player, and
yeah,
you got to respect, enemy territory, whatever. You got to respect the game,
1,000%. All right, so So like, man, it's just this is still weird. Like I'm still trying to get used to Gerald being in the Bank of America Stadium, walking around. It's just really weird. I'm trying to get used to it.
Yeah.
So,
So like his Instagram video he had earlier today,
mhm,
right? Where he's coming out of the tunnel and he's
yeah,
got his arms waving out and he's circling around. I'm home, baby. I'm home.
yeah,
Like that, guys. That's classic Gerald McCoy. All right, like when Ren talks about the antics and the look at me nature of Gerald, I never really minded it a whole lot. I'll be honest with you, I really didn't. But it really grated on Ren's
but
nerves,
I
and
think
that's classic Gerald.
I think we have a guy that has a bigger personality on our roster that I'm sure he's not going to overshine. So
You
I'm
don't
okay.
think so?
I'm
You don't think
okay.
so?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay with Gerald, doing his thing, and it is
Yeah.
what it is. So we're not worried about that. I'm definitely not worried about the media stuff, and I think Ren had a problem with the media stuff. And I'm not worried about leadership. So the concerns that you guys have, I don't think are necessarily our concerns, and like I don't think we'll have that problem. He's just coming in to be a guy, a good guy, hopefully.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just weird. It's just taking some time to get used to it.
Mm.
But so how are you guys? I mean, how are you liking Arians at the moment? I mean, are you good? Are you guys good with them?
Yeah, there. I think Arians will remain the best offseason acquisition that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers made this year. Out of all the draft picks, out of all the free agents, out of all those guys, Bruce Arians is the guy that we needed to get, and we got him. So we like what's happening. We like what's going on. We like there's definitely a new feel and a new attitude in Tampa, like wholeheartedly, absolutely new attitude. I, along with several other my podcasting friends that I know, we're taking a very show me attitude
Yeah,
this year, because for years now, and especially the last, I'd say 2 years under Dirk Cutter, we've been burned. Got real hype in the offseason, pounded our chest. We're going to be amazing because of all these things we saw in OTAs and training camp and mini camp and all these things. And, oh, yeah, this is where we're going to be. And then it materialized in back-to-back 5-11 seasons. And so for a lot of it, it's more of a, this looks cool, this looks fun, but I'm going to need to see this in the regular season.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's this guarded, like, I like it, I really like it, but I'm not allowing myself to get too excited until I see this in the season.
Right.
And let's see what happens. But I do think that Bruce Arians will be he will be the key acquisition we've had in this offseason.
Yeah, I believe when we talked to you guys last year, you guys were kind of guarded like that. We kept trying to get predictions out of you, and you guys wouldn't give
Yeah.
us one. So yeah, I can completely understand that. From a Panthers perspective, I mean, we're excited. We got Gerald. Hopefully he can stay healthy. Because we rotate our defensive linemen so often. I don't think he's going to be asked to do a whole lot. But when he's out there, we're going to expect obviously we're going to expect Gerald to do Gerald things. And again, I agree with you. He's getting older, but he's gonna add that. Maybe that missing piece that we didn't have last year. We got Peppers out of here. Well, he retired. Let me not say it like that. Peppers retired, and he didn't he didn't perform as well as we expected him to coming off the season prior where he had hella sacks. We just didn't get that out of Pepper. So hopefully our defense is going to improve. Hopefully we added a lot of speed. We added a whole lot of speed on the defense. We got Brian Burns and Christian Miller, Bruce Irvin. So we've got some guys. I think our defense is going to be really good. I'm hoping we can make that jump back into the top 10 defensive wise. That at minimum, that's what we're expecting out of Ron. We're expecting Ron Rivera to get the best out of this defense, and
Hey,
hopefully we can get that.
can I ask you about Ron Rivera? Because I
Yep,
know there was a
sure.
lot of question marks last year about whether or not he was going to come back or whatnot,
Yep.
and they brought him back.
hmm
So
There's
how
still
do
are
you guys
question
feel about
marks.
that?
I think there still are question marks. I think we talked about this yesterday on our podcast. We go weekly, and we did a live show yesterday, and we talked about this win now mode. I think we got new ownership, and the ownership is not playing. He wants to win, and he wants to win now.
Yeah.
This is why you're seeing these moves, especially from the defensive side. And I think Rivera, there's a lot. I think there's pressure on Rivera, obviously, this year to go out and get it done. You are he's calling plays. He is our defensive coordinator and head coach, so he's calling plays. So it's on him. And we saw last year when he did. We obviously demoted one of our. They won't say it like that, but we demoted Eric Washington, and we promoted Ron Rivera to call plays. And when we made that change, things got better from the defensive side. So we're hoping to take that same energy into next year. And with this this influx of talent that we have on the defensive side of the ball, I'm hoping it all comes together for his sake, because I think he's a good coach. But I think we're kind of, just to kind of, you know, bring everything back together. I think we're kind of having that same Ron Rivera fatigue. The
Mhm.
same thing where you're having with Gerald fatigue. We're kind of, Ron Rivera is a great coach. We can count on having a winning season every other year. Every odd year we're having winning seasons, and this is an odd year, so we're expecting to have a winning season. But can he get us over the hump? And that's
Mhm.
the same kind of thing we're having with. I like Ron, but can you get us over the hump? And I'm not totally convinced. I'm happy that he took over defensive calls, though, because that was huge. That was huge. So with this switch, this whole hybrid 3-4 scheme thing that they're talking about, I'll believe it when I see it. I'm not sure what we're doing on the defense side of the ball, to be honest.
Because your guys, I mean, historically, hasn't your defense been more of the Tampa 2?
Yep, absolutely. Ron is a Tampa. Yeah, he's a Tampa 2 coach. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
he did coach when he was coaching the Chargers. He ran a 3-4 defense, so he can call plays out of a 3-4
Yeah.
defense. He had the number one defense that year too, but obviously that wasn't his personnel. He had somebody else's personnel and went along with it. But he can coach a 3-4 defense. He did it in San Diego. Can he do it here? There's just a lot of talk. There's a lot of question marks about what we're going to do on the defense. If you look at the personnel, you can definitely see that we're going to be throwing in some hybrid looks, because we got the speed edge rushers.
Right.
We got a Bruce Irvin, we've got a Christian Miller, we've got a Brian Burns, we got a Mario Addison, and then you've got McCoy, you've got KK. There's endless ways you can line this up, and it's just a matter of Ron Rivera getting the best out of it. So that's what we're hoping for, and we're hoping Gerald McCoy can add to it. Absolutely. So that's really all I had. I mean, if you have any more thoughts that you want to share about Gerald, you want to kind of wrap this up. That's really all I had. I mean, just give us. Are you let me ask you this:
Mhm.
Are you gonna miss Gerald? Like, and tell me how you're gonna miss him.
Um, I'm going to miss him in a way that you miss a person that you respect a lot. Does that make sense?
Yep,
Like,
absolutely.
it's. I really, 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 really wanted Tampa to have a winning season, go to the playoffs, go deep into the playoffs, if not actually hit a Super Bowl with Gerald in Tampa. You know, I mean, he was our guy. We drafted him. He's the face of the franchise, and it would have been really poetic had he been able to be here for his entire career, maybe get a championship in Tampa, and he's not. That dream is now gone. So I kind of miss that, if that makes sense. Um, I I wish that's what would have happened, but it's not, and
Yep,
it's just not where it was going to go. So outside of that, I don't know that I'm going to miss him a ton.
that's
Outside
crazy.
of I wanted more for him,
Yeah,
but it's not. The guy that we have that came in Ndamukong, I said on the previous show, like, I've never been a big Ndamukong fan.
right. I'm hearing that
You
a
know, I
lot.
mean, quote unquote, dirtiest player in the NFL. And Ren pointed out, yeah, but that was a bunch of years ago when he was still like really early in his career. He's matured. He hasn't had those same kinds of issues here lately.
Yeah,
And they asked him that. I mean, they asked Stu that like from the podium when he first got here. And I thought he had a good response. And I was like, all right, fine. I guess I'll forgive Stu. And Ren's like, ooh, great. We forgave Stu. That'll make his day.
yeah,
So we have him now. Like it's you know what it's like. Do you ever take a really stupid long time to break up with somebody that you were dating? and you should have just broken up with them
Right.
like a long time ago. That's a little bit what this feels like. Like I really wanted it to work out. I invested a lot in that, but it just didn't, and I probably should have cut it sooner than we did. And that's a little bit of what this feels like. But I ain't mad at him at all. Like I'm not mad at Gerald. I really wanted this one to work. You know, more power to him, and you know, I hope he does okay until you guys play us. You know,
Yeah, it's
you know,
gonna be interesting.
like I got to tell you, I will still love the idea that I get to see Gerald hopefully sack Drew Brees and Matt Ryan twice a year.
Yeah, that's true.
Like that'd be awesome.
That
I'd
would
be
be
all
awesome.
for that.
I'm for it too,
You know,
especially
and
now.
hell, if he could even throw in a sack of Cam once in a while, I'd be okay
Nah.
with that. But, you know,
He did
probably
say
not like.
he did say he's gonna enjoy watching other people try and take Cam down because he knows how hard it is. So he said
Yeah.
that today in his press conference. So I don't know, man. It's gonna be interesting, man, and I definitely appreciate you coming in and talk about Gerald, and it's some good insight because we one of the things we were confused about too was I guess it's the one quick question. Was he ever offered an actual a deal to come back at a reduced salary?
Um, the rumor is, okay, and you have to take it as that
For sure.
that they had conversations with him about taking a reduction in salary, and he just flat out said no. And a lot of that is because I think Gerald was already done with Tampa. Like you go back and watch the video of him walking off the field after the final game
Hmm.
last year, you could see it all over him. He was out. He was done. You watch his press conference in the locker room afterwards. He's out. He already mentally checked out of Tampa. He wasn't coming back, and you know, so he certainly wasn't taking a lower salary. And you know, and as you said, Gerald's not the guy who's in the business of being vengeful and spiteful.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
definitely get that out of him. He
yeah.
doesn't seem like that type of guy. Um,
No, Gerald. If you don't know, Gerald is a very outspoken, very big man of faith.
yeah,
Like it's a huge part of who he is. In fact, there's when Jameis first got here, there's this whole like how he's taken over leadership, and there is this picture of Jameis like he had the circle around him, and Gerald was like on the outside of the circle, not paying attention to what Jameis was doing. And they're like, "Oh, look, there's beef between Gerald and Jameis. Beef between Gerald and Jameis." And turns out, what Gerald was doing was a pregame ritual he does anyway, which is he kind of walks around his team as he's praying for them,
mm,
praying for everybody to be safe and have fun, and you know whatever he's praying for them. Like
nice.
that's what he was actually doing. But everybody looked at it and went, "Oh, see, there's
Yeah,
beef here.
yeah,
There's whatever," and it just it's ridiculous stuff.
yeah,
But it's a big piece of who Gerald is, and you know, I think you guys will like him there.
yeah. No, I'm telling you this. Like Panther Nation is extremely excited. We were on pins and needles waiting for him to make the decision, and Panther Nation kind of exploded when it happened.
Yeah,
So
can I pop that bubble for you all a
sure,
little
go
bit?
ahead, go ahead.
And I mean, I think I might have said this earlier. Don't expect him to come out and shut it down. You know what I mean? Like, because you said it well. He's gonna be a good role player. He's gonna be a good piece.
For sure.
But
Yeah,
you know, he's not.
but I also think he's a little motivated too, and I think
Yeah,
and my friend Larry said it best. He said a motivated Gerald is a scary Gerald. And I don't
sure.
know how to take that. I haven't I can't say that I've watched him or seen him motivated before. Just because not because I'm just because I'm not paying attention, not because I'm not it's not any disrespect by that. I just don't know. It's ignorance. But
You know, it's possible there's a lot of Buck fans that would say the exact same thing.
yeah, yeah. So I know he went vegan. They said he went vegan 5 months ago, and so he's
Yeah,
dropped some weight. And Cam is
yeah.
vegan, so I think that
Did you
had a
hear
lot to
why?
do.
Did you hear why he went vegan?
No, I don't think I know
He
why.
got old. That's
Yeah.
what he
Oh yeah,
said.
yeah. So yeah, he
I
did
got
say
old.
that.
My
Yeah,
joints started hurting, so I
he
went
did
vegan.
say that, and that's the same reason why Cam went vegan too. He said Cam, he started aching in places he wasn't supposed to ache, so he went vegan. So it's the same thing. So they're kind of on the same page, and I don't know if you heard, but we actually took him, or some of the players took him to a vegan restaurant because I guess he's good friends with Trey Turner, and Trey knows that he's a vegan, and so Trey and Greg Olson, Christian McCaffrey, a bunch of guys, they went to a vegan restaurant and kind of talked about it, and so that's kind of
Yeah,
what
I'll
helped.
tell you something about Gerald. He is a guy who never stops training. He doesn't take an off season.
Yeah.
And he talks about it. He's like, look, it's easier to stay in shape than it is to get to the end of the season, rest, and have to come back and get in shape.
Yeah.
Gerald does that. As soon as the season's over, day after the Super Bowl, he's right back at the facility training, and you just see him out there. He's the first one in, a lot of times, not always. He'll put in the work, and like I said earlier, he'll stay after practice,
Right.
and work with people. Like, he's going to put in work for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, that's all we ask. I mean, just to go back and clarify that the role and rotation. I mean, we do expect Gerald to play the majority of snaps. Like, we're expecting that out of him. But we don't expect him to be an every down guy. We rotate our guys out by series, by matchup. So it's something that Ron does a good job at. We keep guys fresh. And there was another. I guess another thing was that I saw was that I guess he quote disappears in the fourth quarter. So I don't know how true that is. And I heard you guys talk about it as well with the sacks
Yeah. So a friend of ours who does another podcast, Mr. Bucks Nation, kind of took that up as a challenge and went and looked at it. And just based on sacks, he broke down the number of sacks Gerald has in his career in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, and turns out the fourth quarter is where he has the majority of his sacks. Now, again, Buccaneers have often been down by a lot.
Context.
So were those garbage time sacks?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe that's probably some of it. But the idea that he just doesn't show up big, he doesn't show up in the fourth quarter, I think is a bit of an over-exaggeration.
Yeah.
I really do.
I'm a huge context guy. So context behind stats. I gotta see the context because you can't just throw a number at me. But I agree.
But I can also say it has been very, very rare that the Bucs needed a huge big play on defensive, a big defensive stop, and Gerald didn't make a play.
Yeah.
He didn't stop the run when it went by him. He didn't get to the quarterback. He didn't, like the feeling, the idea that he never shows up in the fourth quarter is valid. I don't know if that's, warranted maybe.
Yeah.
Is it really true to what happens? Maybe. He certainly has his things, but I don't know that I can remember a single game where the Buccaneers needed something and it was Gerald who was the one that made the play. I really don't know that I remember that. Yeah. And I think that's probably when you hear a lot of Bucs fans say he doesn't show up in the fourth quarter, it's because they can't pull that from memory.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I think we're gonna wrap this up. Again, I appreciate you coming on, especially on such short notice. Excuse me. It's always fun talking to you guys. Well, you, Brent. Hopefully, we'll have both of you guys on to talk about Bucs and Panthers. Hopefully, closer to the season. When the season starts, we'll bring you guys back on, and we'll talk about where you guys stand and how you guys think. Hopefully, you'll make a prediction this time about where you guys are gonna.
Well, I tell you, I will give you a prediction. Hold me to it next time we come on. I don't typically do predictions at all.
All right.
But hold me to it. I'll give you a prediction. We'll see if I'm right or not. But
all right, we'll do. We always make bold predictions on them. They might be wild, but we always like to predict and see what happens. So, again, appreciate you coming on, and hopefully we'll talk to you again. All right, so this is Brent from the Pewtercast. I will put the link in the description box for your show and iTunes and all that good stuff. And that's where I was listening, I believe. Was it iTunes or Libsyn? I think I was listening on Libsyn, one of them. Yeah. But I'll put all the information in the description so you guys can go get the raw. This was just a little piece of it, so you can go get the raw full story about Gerald. You can go listen to their